Welcome to Pro Cycling Bets Tour de Suisse 2023 favorites. Hosted in Switzerland, there's 8 total stages, there's 4 mountain stages, and there's 2 time trials, which is quite a lot for an 8-day stage race. Key players that are coming are the likes of Wout van Aert, Remco Evenepoel, and Filippo Ganna. We're also ecstatic that one of our rider profiles is showing up, Sian Uterbroeks, as he seems to be only getting better over the course of the year. The strongest teams are those like the likes of Alpecin-Deceuninck with Søren Kragh Andersen. You also have Jumbo-Visma with Wout van Aert and Ineos with Tom Pidcock. Soudal Quickstep should also be coming in hot with the likes of Remco and their sprinter Tim Merlier. UAE, a consistently strong contender, is bringing Juan Ayuso, who after the Tour de Romandie shows that he still has the goods and potentially just needed another month in the oven. Well, he's got that month and we expect him and UAE with Wellens as a domestique to show up big time. In terms of value picks, the odds haven't dropped yet, but Matteo Sobrero from Jayco has been consistent all season and should place in the top 10. While Q36.5 and DSM's rosters haven't dropped yet, we expect both to have some standout stars that could be on the value end of the spectrum. Tour de Pro Cycling, basically the Swiss national team in disguise, has had a number of breakthrough performances this year, especially with the likes of Voissard, who we made a handy bit of change on at the 4th stage of Tour de Hongrie. In terms of stages, stage 1 is an ITT. It's not the longest time trial we've seen, that's for sure, but it's slightly longer than the max prologue distance of 8 kilometers, with stage 1 coming in at 13 Ks. There's not many hills to speak of. We haven't dug into how many corners there are, but I believe there's around 13, so it could prove to be technically difficult given that. It should prove to be an interesting battle between Sheffield, Ganna, Kung, and Evenepoel, and personally we'd like to see the young Sheffield take the prize. Stage 2 comes in at an elevation gain of 1,800 meters roughly. It's an interesting stage right from the get-go. Breaks could definitely form over the first categorized climb of 3 kilometers at 5.1%, but honestly the next climb of 3.2 kilometers at 6.4% seems a little trickier. Climb is 24 kilometers out from the end, and it's a perfect distance for a final break to punch out if there's not already one going beforehand. Stage 3 comes in with an elevation gain of 2,600 meters, and we're super excited that it's not a backloaded route for this 8-day event. There's already a hilltop finish on day 3, which is super exciting. 34 kilometers from the finish, there's Col de Moses, which is 13.5 kilometers at 4.1%, and then a solid descent of 18 kilometers before a climb of 10.7 Ks at 8%. The final climb isn't quite a hors categorie climb, but it's darn close in our opinion. Stage 4 comes in at 2,789 meters. Stage 4 features Crans Montana, which we hope they won't shorten and cut it in half like they did in the Giro this year, but we'll crossing our fingers here. Crans is 14.6 Ks at 6.7%. Right in the middle of the stage. We expect the major action to start with the climb 35 kilometers out from the finish, which is first 7.8 Ks at 8.6% and then 2.6 Ks at 7.6%, and then followed by a 19 kilometer climb at 4.5%. And finally, there's a kicker at 1.2 kilometers at 5.1% right at the finish. Hopefully your GC contender is in the GC group that forms up these climbs, because we imagine there's going to be a punchy finish right at the end. Stage 5 has a huge amount of elevation gain at 4,600 meters. Heavy day here. First is the Furka Pass of 16.5 kilometers at 6.4%. It is a hors categorie climb, which is the hardest categorized climb possible. Then 10.7 Ks at 5.6% for the Oberall Pass, which follows the Furka Pass. A break should form over one of these. A huge amount of descending follows for 50 kilometers, and then there's another 50 kilometers of false flat for Abula Place, another hors categorie climb of 17.4 Ks at 6.8%, consisting of sections of 2.8 Ks at 8.2% and another section at 4.4 kilometers at 8.2%. Following up from that heavy day is stage 6 with an elevation gain of 3,369 meters. Another hard day, starting almost where stage 5 finished. They make these poor riders repeat part of the Abula Place, and then they face a descent of 7.5 kilometers and then a climb of 7.5% before some mileage, a kicker of 5.9 kilometers at 4%, and then rolling terrain to the end. If the sprinters can get over the initial climb, they'll likely be able to reel back in whatever break does for them and should prove to be a sprint finish. Stage 7 looks kind of gnarly, but it's not actually that hard just because there's no major climbs that are occurring on the stage. That being said, there is 9 kilometers at 5.3% and then steep and fast descent followed by 3.3 Ks at 9.2% in the middle of the stage. And so while these climbs are nothing to scoff at, it shouldn't prove too concerning for the riders if they manage to make it this far. GC action should occur later in the stage, but if not, a break will form over those climbs we expect. The next 80 kilometers is basically a descent and rolling, so in actuality, if GC is close, they they may just let this one be a bunch sprint and have the ITT tomorrow be the deciding factor. Stage 8 is the ITT. It's a slightly longer time trial than the first one, coming in at double the distance of the initial at 26 Ks. There's a climb in there of 1.7 kilometers at 7.9%, which certainly isn't nothing. The initial climb of 0.6 kilometers at 6.3% is kind of nothing though. Still, we expect a lighter time trialist like Sheffield to perform slightly better here than maybe some of the heavier ones. There's roughly 15 turns over the course of the route, which is a decent number, and there's one S-curve halfway through that could ruin someone's zone. At the end of the day though, it should prove to be an exciting event. 8 days with high quality riders. We're interested in your thoughts, your picks, who you think's gonna win. Please let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, all that jazz. Ciao.